Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is TheJackSilkstone. Oh yes, we are in the end game now. Later on this very week, we'll be finding out more information about Thorpe Park's brand new roller coaster. And in today's video, I'm going to be discussing exactly what type of roller coaster it very likely could be. So big up everyone that watched my previous videos on this topic and voted on the form that I left in the description of those videos. Today I'm going to be giving you all the definitive answer of what you all voted for on that form. So the first question that I asked on this form, and probably the biggest question of this entire video, was what is the most likely ride model that we could be seeing for this new Thorpe Park roller coaster. But I'll show you guys the results to this question very shortly because they are super interesting. And first of all, we're going to answer the question, will the coaster have an IP? Now, for those of you that don't know, IP stands for intellectual property. So it essentially means any kind of franchise or media content that already exists within the world, will that thing be tied to a roller coaster? Examples of this are obviously Saw the ride, The Walking Dead the ride, and as well as Angry Birds Land and stuff like that. So yeah, basically any company that is attached to this ride. Will this new roller coaster have that? And as you can see, over 3/4 of you voted for a big fat no, with the other 21% voting yes. So the overall majority was that no. People do not think that this roller coaster will have an IP theme. Instead, the creatives at Merlin will come up with their own theme and storyline for this new ride. Now, the next question was, what will the overall tone of the theme be? Will it be dark, light, or somewhere in the middle? Now, there is a fair bit of context behind this question because pretty famously, over the past decade, Thorpe Park have almost always gone down the very dark route when it comes to their new big projects. Examples of this is obviously Saw, The Swarm, Darren Brown's Ghost Train, The Walking Dead the ride. Like, so many of these recent new additions at Thorpe have all been based on something gruesome, something death related, something scary, essentially. So I asked you guys what you thought this new coaster will be. And as you can see, over half of you voted that it would be a dark theme, keeping with the Thorpe Park tradition. 34% of you voted somewhere in the middle, and only 13.5% of you voted that it would be a more of a happy, light, colourful theme. Now, my next question was also related to the theme of the roller coaster. However, this time I gave 16 different options, all of which were very basic, kind of generic themes that exist within the world. And the top 3 answers for this one, ignoring the other category, which got 10.5% of the votes. In at number 1, we had a Western theme. Next up was a forest theme. And finally, we had a futuristic theme. Now, these all make sense, judging by the area in which this roller coaster is being proposed to be built. Obviously, Old Town, which is already quite Western-y themed, which will explain the number 1 theme for this vote being Western. Next up, we've got Forest. Once again, all of the back of Old Town is a forest, like the area where you walk through platform 15, because obviously we had all of the trees being cut down in that area. And then the third one is futuristic, which is obviously very different to the others and something that we haven't really had at Thorpe Park before, so that one would be super interesting. Now, as I said, 10.5% of you voted other for that theme category, and in the next question, I'll let you expand on what this theme could be if you voted other. And we got some really interesting suggestions. The first of which that I noticed was your mum. So thank you for that. But no, there was an overall theme for this other suggestion, and that was largely all to do with Creek Freak and the Buckwheats, because obviously the Fright Nights Maze Creek Freak Massacre is located slap bang in the middle of Old Town, and it's obviously a really cool theme. So people are thinking that maybe Thorpe will expand on the storyline of the Buckwheats. Maybe they've built this massive coaster out of the sawmill. I mean, if it's a wooden coaster, then yeah, it could very well tie in with that theme. And as I said, I will reveal the number 1 ride model that you all voted for very shortly. But yeah, the majority of the other suggestions, as well as the Creek Freak vibe, were all kind of still tied in to Old Town. And obviously, we don't have a clue what's happening with Old Town in the future. That whole area could be completely rethemed, or they could tie this new roller coaster into the storyline of Old Town. Now my next question allowed people to expand a bit more on the theme that they chose for this roller coaster, and because I allowed people to put long answers for this one, I got some really detailed stuff. Now I'm not going to go ahead and read out in their entirety. Instead, I think I'm going to focus on some of these longer storylines over on my Twitch. So if you want to join in the discussion over there, then the link is down in the description. Because yeah, I think I've left you guys hanging enough. I think it's time I told you the answer to the first question that I asked you all. What do you think this brand new roller coaster will be? What company do you think will make this ride, and what ride model do you think it will be? And yeah, I gave 19 different options here, as well as a final other option. And I have to say, the results really did surprise me, because one of these models took over 50% of the votes. We're gonna go in reverse order. So in at number 3, the third most popular thing that people think is coming to Thorpe Park in the future, with 6.2% of the votes, is a GCI wooden coaster. That's right, so I feel like all of the background knowledge I have to really say about this coaster can be summed up in the word Wicker Man. So yeah, Wicker Man, obviously the most recent ride to be built at Towers, was a GCI wooden coaster and was one of the first wooden coasters to be built within the UK for so many years. Now the interesting thing with Wicker Man is obviously it is quite a small footprint coaster. It's not the tallest, and it's not the most intense of rides. However, there are several GCI coasters around the world that are well over 100 foot and are very big and very intense coasters, one of which in Europe is of course Roden over at Europa Park. So if you're watching this video now like, oh, I don't know if I'd want another kind of Wicker Man style coaster down at Thorpe Park, don't worry, they do come a lot bigger than Wicker Man, and if one was to get built at Thorpe Park, then you'd hope that they'd go big with it. So yeah, that was the third most likely coaster that people think could be coming to Thorpe Park. In at number 2, with 16.6% of the votes, is an RMC hybrid. Oh yes, now this is an incredible type of roller coaster that essentially, as the name suggests, fuses wood with steel to create this hybrid type of roller coaster. And they do this by having the supports that hold up the track made of wood, whereas the track itself is steel. So it's essentially a wooden coaster that can do things that normal wooden coasters could never ever do, like crazy inversions, loads of airtime, mad banking, all because the track is this special I-box steel track that RMC developed. Now, the most famous examples of RMC coasters here in Europe are obviously Zadra over at Energylandia in Poland, and Wildfire at Kolmården in Sweden. And both of these rides get incredible reviews. In fact, RMCs around the world are renowned for being incredible. One of the best roller coasters in the world is Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. I unfortunately haven't ridden it yet, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about that roller coaster. And the interesting thing is that there are currently no RMC roller coasters within the UK. And yeah, that leaves us with the number 1 spot, the ride that over 50% of people think is coming to Thorpe Park as their next roller coaster. It is a B&M Hyper. Now for those of you that don't know what this ride is, essentially it is a very tall ride that's full of ejector and floater airtime. All but one B&M Hyper in the world essentially take you up a very tall lift hill, all of which are over 200 feet. And then it drops you down and you go out and back again via a load of bunny hills and some kind of cool turnaround element. As I said, every B&M Hyper ever made, apart from just one, has had this kind of out and back style layout, which obviously means that these rides do have a very big blueprint. Now, the most popular models here in Europe are Shambhala over at Portaventura and also Silver Star at Europa Park. However, currently there are none of this ride model operating within the UK. In fact, the only rides that go over 200 foot in the UK are Pepsi Max, a big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, made by Aerodynamics back in 1994, and Stealth at Thorpe Park, which stands 205 feet tall and was made by Intermin back in 2006. So yeah, it's been a very long time since any theme park here in the UK has built over 200 feet So now that we know the most popular type of ride that people think is coming to Thorpe Park, my next question was, when do you think this roller coaster will open? Providing that everything consultation and planning wise goes ahead and the coaster actually gets built. When will people first be able to go on this ride? And just under 50% of you voted that it would open in 2023. 40% of you voted 2024, and then a small group of people thought it would open in either 2022, literally next year, and some people thought 2025. Now the interesting thing with this is that Chessington World of Adventure's new upcoming roller coaster has already gone through its entire consultation stage that Thorpe Park are about to begin later this week. And their ride, which has just kind of started the very early stages of construction and groundwork, is heavily rumoured to open in 2023. So yeah, just something to think about as for the timescale that roller coasters take to get built. Now my next questions were relating to the way that this new roller coaster will look on the skyline. So what colour will the track of the ride be, and what colour will the supports be? And I'm very, very shocked and a little bit disappointed in you guys for the answers to this question, because I was expecting a beautiful like blue or green or red coaster, but no, the number one colour that you guys thought the track would be is brown. In fact, the top three track colours were brown in at number 1, black at number 2, and then red number 3. Whilst the supports are even worse, to be honest. We've got black at number 1, brown at number 2, and grey at number 3. So yeah, as you can see from all of these mock-ups I've done of those different combinations, none of them are particularly standing out to me as this beautiful new ride. But hey ho, those are the top 3 that you guys voted for both of those categories. Now next up, I asked, would there be any special features of this coaster? Because obviously if you guys have been in this theme park community for a while, you know that Merlin, who own a lot of theme parks here in the UK, like to incorporate some kind of world first element into their roller coasters. Obviously the Swarm was the UK's first winged roller coaster. The Smiler was the roller coaster with the most inversions anywhere in the world. Wicker Man was the first roller coaster to fuse fire with wood. So yeah, I asked, will this new Thorpe Park roller coaster hold any UK records, worldwide records, or anything of the sort? And a lot of you guys voted the same thing for this one, and that was that you think this will be the tallest roller coaster in the UK. Now that record is currently held by Pepsi Max, the big one up at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. So yeah, it's very interesting to see if Thorpe Park will blow this record out of the water, which has obviously been held since 1994. But yeah, the fact that so many people voted that this would be the big thing for Thorpe Park's new coaster just shows how high people's expectations are for this new roller coaster. And yeah, fingers crossed everyone will be satisfied when Thorpe Park eventually reveal details about this new roller coaster. So yeah, I hope that all of these questions have kind of put the overall theme park community's opinion into perspective, and we can see what the most popular kind of things that people think will be coming to Thorpe Park are. And yeah, it's super exciting just how close we are to getting more information on this ride. Obviously there's so many different rumours flying around the internet at the moment. My only suggestion, as I always say, is just don't believe everything that you see. Obviously I love all of this speculation so much, but ultimately until we get it directly from Thorpe Park, anything can happen, which is super exciting. But yeah, I'm going to be uploading daily videos throughout this week, building up the hype for the second half of this week, where we will of course be getting big news about this new roller coaster, and I'll of course be keeping you guys up to date as soon as we get any information at all. So yeah, be sure to subscribe to be kept up to date with all of the latest news, and of course leave a thumbs up on this video if you're excited for Thorpe Park to finally get a new roller coaster. And otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. My name is TheJackSilkstone. Goodbye.
Yeah. My team front row when we jump on a train. Got the merch on, reppin' SLK. Island flex when I step through the gate. Come true fresh with the style on flames. Dripped out, now I'm vibing. Link with the boys, jump straight to the island. Silkstone flex on a wave like tidal. Style so crazy, I hit it in asylum. Brand new style, all summer all flex. Brand new vibe, got them all impressed. That's I plus you on the island. Reppin' that SLK STN.